Good morning, friends. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this previous video, we are continuing our next session, storage and outlet works. In the previous video, we are understanding about the earthen dam and their causes of failure and their remedial measures. In this video, we are discussing about the flow net diagrams and the phatic line and their concept. We have to understand that within the earthen dam how the phatic lines are work and how we can calculate the head loss beneath the foundation of our dam. So the flow net theory plays an important role in calculation of head loss and the water velocity beneath the foundation of dam. This analysis is called a seepage analysis. Main objective of this analysis is to estimate the quantity of seepage through dam using a flow net. But when we are using the flow net concept, there may be some assumptions like soil is homogeneous. Homogeneous means coefficient of permeability is constant everywhere. But in practical cases, is not possible. There may be somehow difference like cracks, fractures, and voids also has been present beneath the foundation. Soil is isotropic, like coefficient of permeability is same in all directions. In the case of fractured rock, it is not possible to achieve this condition, but that are the assumptions we should have to follow. Size of pore space do not change. Darcy's law is varied, like flow is laminar. Q is equal to KIA. Soil is completely saturated, like a degree of saturation in 100%. So that case may be possible because the upstream side flow for quantity of water may be larger and we can estimate that that condition may be somehow practically possible. Hydraulic boundary condition at entry and exit are known. During flow volume of soil and water remains constant. Flow net is a graphical representation of a path taken by water in passing through soil. There may be a different characteristic of flow net. Flow line represents the flow path of particles of water. Flow lines and equipotential line are orthogonal to each other. The area between the two flow lines called flow channel. The rate of flow in a channel is constant. Flow cannot occur across the flow lines. An equipotential line is a line joining points with the same head. Velocity of flow is normal to the equipotential line. The difference in head between the two equipotential lines is called potential drop or head loss. A flow line cannot intersect another flow line. Equipotential line cannot intersect another equipotential line. That are the some of the characteristic of flow net and it is the important for exam point of view. Now see, phatic line is a seepage line separating saturated and unsaturated zone and that is called phatic line. That is the top flow line is called phatic line. That is the earthen dam. When we are using a gravity dam, that flow line creates in the downward direction. Now see in the picture is that is the flow line. Flow line number 1, 2, 3, 4 and last is the 5. So that cannot intersect at each other. The flow line, two flow line shows the path of flowing of water. Means water are entered through that portion and leaving or escape through that portion. If that flow line are extended or out that are flowing through that embankment, so that may be slugging may be possible. So we have to provide the filter. We have previously discussed that there may be a providing filter. Filter is the provided for safe pass out of seepage water. That is the one field. That is called equipotential line. There may be head may be same. At that point, head is same, and at that point, all the lines when they cross with the flow lines or stream lines, it is also called as stream lines. That may be head become a same. When we are run gradually on the side, downstream side of the embankment, then the head loss is more. If we are comparing that head loss, so head value is more, and the velocity is downward. So that are the velocity of flow. Now our simple formula is Q is equal to KIA. Change in the flow is equal to KIA. So K is the coefficient of permeability, I is equal to head difference, and A is equal to cross sectional area. And when we are finding the discharge through anisotropic soils, so Q is equal to K dash H NF by ND. That are the factors of soil, frictional factor and diameter factor, and Kx into Ky H NF by ND. That are the formula when we are finding discharge through anisotropic soil. So hydraulic gradient I is equal to delta H by L. So delta H is equal to H by ND and I is equal to H by LND. ND is equal to total number of potential drops. So delta Q is equal to KIA. Then we are putting that value into that equations. K H upon ND B by L. As the total discharge through complete flow net is given by Q is equal to summation of delta Q. So when we are calculating for whole discharge through the flow net, we are adding the all the discharges of the each and every streamline and summate them, and we can get that particular total flow through that embankment. K is the equivalent of permeability of the transform field. NF is equal to total number of flow channels. When we are putting that NF, so the field is square, hence B is equal to L. L is equal to B and B is equal to L. We are seen in the previous picture. Field is not a complete square, but we are assuming that field is square. So KH NF upon ND. Q is equal to KH NF upon ND. Because B is equal to L and L is equal to B, we can remove this term. This is required expression for the discharge passing through the flow net, and it is valid only for isotropic soil, in which Kx, Ky and K means permeability in all direction are same. Now see the example. For a homogeneous earthen dam, 52-meter height and 2-meter freeboard, a flow net was constructed and following result was obtained. Number of equipotential drop was 25. Number of flow channels is equal to 4. The dam has a horizontal figure of a 40-meter length at its downstream end. Calculate the discharge per meter length of dam if coefficient of permeability of dam material is 3 into 10 raised to minus 3 centimeter per second. The discharge per unit length is given by KHNF by ND, where the depth of water is 52-meter high and 2-meter freeboard means 50 meter. So H is equal to 50 meter. K is given 3 into 10 raised to minus 3. So discharge per unit length we can find out KHNF upon ND. That are our previous formula for finding the discharge. That value is centimeter per second, but depth is given in meter. So we have to convert it into the meter per second. So 10 raised to 5, 10 raised to 3 to 10 raised to minus 5. NF is equal to 4. Number of flow channels is 4. Number of equipotential rays and drops is equal to 25. Like Equipotential drop means how much time heads fall, like 25 times. So 3 into 10 raised to minus 5 into multiply by 50 multiply by 4 by 25 is equal to 24 into 10 raised to minus 5 meter cube per second per meter. So we can get that value 0.00024 cumex per meter length. Now next topic is plotting of phreatic line. How can we plot our phreatic line? In order to draw flow net, it is essential to find the location and shape of phreatic line because beneath the portion of phreatic line is called flow net. So first we have to set the boundary and the top of flow line separating a saturated and unsaturated zone. Phreatic line can be located by graphical method or a Casagrande method. That may be analytical method or experimental method also present, but that is a graphical method. In this, first point is that draw the arc taking C as the center. We have to take C point 3 into L. We have to find out this length and take center C is equal to here. And CF has a radius. F is a point where the filter is start and we have to draw the arc. Second thing, draw the directrix and find the local distances S. After that, we have to find the local distance S. D square, if we, the value of D is here, value of H is somehow here. So, if we are changing the value of D, then the value of S is different. For drawing parabola, we have to use this equation y square is equal to 2sx plus s square. So first we have to find out the value of s, that are the different portions for different value of d. When we are finding the value of different d from here to here, when the phreatic line start, we have to select s value or d value up to here and then put into that equation and we can get the value of s and put y for finding the value of y because one phreatic line is completely built. First we get point, after that we have to draw that line. So we can get the value of y square. X value is here because we have value of d and we don't only have to find out the value of y square because that are the x value. If we are choosing the d is 1 meter, 2 meter, what many sequence of interval we can select. Y square is equal to 2sx plus s square and we can get the phreatic line. After that we can choose equipotential drops and streamlines and draw the flow net. Now that are the practice example for you. For earthen dam of a homogeneous section with horizontal filter as shown in figure, we have to draw the top flow line. If the top flow line means phreatic line, if coefficient permeability soil used in dam is 5 into 10 raised to minus 4 meter per second. And we have to find a seepage flow per unit length of dam. Any method you can use to draw the phreatic line. Now, next is the seepage control measures. Seepage control measures are generally required to prevent the adverse effect of water percolating through embankment in its foundation. One is the embankment seepage control and two is the foundation seepage control. For embankment seepage control, there may be a toe filter, horizontal drainage filter, percolating filter, or downstream side toe and embankment zoning, chimney drains extending upward to embankment. In case of a concrete dam, there may be one drainage gallery is provided, but in case of earthen dam, that many components should be provided. For foundation seepage control, we have to provide impervious cutoff, upstream impervious blanket, or downstream side seepage bomb, drainage trenches, and relief valves. Now that are the drainage filters. So that is the provided in uh, embankment, rock top filter. That is called rock top filter. That is the horizontal drainage filter. It is a downstream side cross section. So that are safely passing the water without removal of any material. Downstream side seepage bump. So water are passing through that, and that our toe is not harmed by the water flow. Drainage trenches. That trenches consist of perforated pipe and that carry all the water beneath the surface of our embankment. Relief well. That is the one well which is created and the water, extra water are pumping through them, and the water flow is safely pass out through that and not escape through the embankment. That are the our different questions, like describe the static line in importance in earthen dam, explain a graphical method of drawing flow net in earthen dam, describe the procedure of determining static line through homogeneous earthen dam provided with a horizontal filter or without a horizontal filter. Discuss various causes of failure of earthen dam. We have to explain the method of construction of earthen dam, and we have to write the merits and demerits. Write briefly about overtopping, wave erosion, and piping phenomena in earthen dam. Write hydraulic failures of earthen dam. Significance of pore pressure in relation to earthen dam construction. Slope protection in earthen dam. Filter in earthen dam. How do you decide the section of zone earthen dam in the following materials? Explain the necessity of slope protection in earthen dam. How you protect upstream and downstream slopes of earthen dam, and explain with neat sketches how would you carry out the stability analysis of earthen dam. That are the different questions uh, for the earthen dam phenomena, and I hope this is a very useful discussion and important for your understanding. That are the different theories for calculation of seepage through earthen dam or seepage through embankment. Now we are moving to the gravity dam. Types of gravity dam, forces acting on a gravity dam. Now that are the different types of gravity dam. There may be advantages of gravity dam: strong, stable, durable, suitable for moderately wide valleys having a steep slope, because in the gravity dam or concrete dam, that may be a facility to achieve the greater height, can be constructed to very great height, suitable for overflow spillway section. Maintenance cost is very low, doesn't fail suddenly. And there may be disadvantages that gravity dam of great height can be constructed only on sound rock foundation, and the initial cost is more than earthen dam. It takes a longer time in construction, require a more skilled labor than earthen dam. Subsequent raise is not possible in gravity dam because that is a concrete or masonry structures. Now we are moving to the forces acting on gravity dam. Water pressure, weight of dam pressure, uplift pressure, pressure due to earthquake, ice pressure, wave pressure, silt pressure, and wind pressure. That are the different pressures has been acting on gravity dam. There may be mistake in slides due to some of the formatting problems. That is the wave pressure. When the water is flow up to the total height, so the water are flowing with the waving action by the wind. When the wind are impact on the water, that generate the waves and that are impact on the wall of this dam. It is the water pressure. Totally water is filled at upward side and that generate the pressure to uh, move that dam. Now is the weight of dam. That is the totally weight structure and that mass is impact the weight and that weight is resist the all these forces. Next is the earthquake pressure. When the body are moves during the earthquake due to its inertia forces, the wave pressure and the or concrete dam may be affected due to earthquake forces. Ice pressure. That pressure is generally occur in the cold region when the water are reach at its freezing point. Silt pressure. After the sometimes there may be some amount of silt deposition may be done here. So the silt pressure is also act on the wall of downstream side of the dam. Next is the wind pressure. Now maybe some of the freeboard may be placed when we are constructing dam. So that wind is impact on that portion and we have to calculate the wind pressure. That is the tail water pressure. So some amount of or some height of the water are also filled at tail due to discharge through that dam. So that pressure may also affect. First pressure is water pressure. For the water pressure, the it carry a both component like vertical component and horizontal component. Vertical components are impact on the slope of this type of dam. It may be depend on the particular shape of dam. If that type of not slope has been given, so that pressure is not acting. Second is the horizontal component like that component PV. So P1 is equal to 1 half gamma W into H square and that pressure is gamma into H. That is the weight component of water and that is the pressure component of water. So we have to summate the both. And in the same case, at a tail water pressure, horizontal component is 1 half gamma W into H square and that horizontal component is gamma W into H. And their point of action is at H by 3. How much amount of dam is filled, we can get the maximum value of maximum flood level. Unit of weight of water is 1000 kilogram per meter cube. Next is the weight of dam. This is a measure resisting force. Generally, unit of weight of dam is generally constructed on the materials. Cross section of the dam is generally divided into the triangle or rectangular shape like 2 to 3% and weight is at its CG. CG is the shape of CG. We can divide it into three shapes. So we have to calculate the 1 by 3 from the its base because the triangle shape CG is 1 3 from the base. So weight is equal to volume per unit length multiplied by density of material. We have to select the density of material which we use during the construction of dam. Next is the uplift pressure. Uplift pressure is generally pressure created due to seepage of water. Water are seeped through the embankment that are creating the pressure. So in the diagram is that are the particular height of dam, that is the minimum maximum water level, total height of dam. So we have to calculate that pressure gamma into H because only the vertical component are impact on it, no horizontal component are impact on it. So gamma into H and that is the drainage gallery. So we have to put that formula. First we have to use gamma into H, H dash, that is the tail water pressure. And if you want to find out that component, So we have to put that formula gamma into h dash plus 1/3 gamma into h minus gamma h dash. That are the formula when the drainage gallery is provided. Otherwise, this diagram is slopy. Now, zones, earthquake pressure. Earthquake zones may be divided on that particular sequence in our country. Zone 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 zones. Now in the present, 5 zones has been present. 5 zones is very severe and 1 zones or 2 zones is very uh, easier. And that portion, the probability of occurring earthquake very low. But in that our Gujarat region, Kutch is in the our fifth case. So the fifth zone may be severe to earthquake prone area, and that are the zone 3. So there may be lesser severe compared to Kutch. Earthquake acceleration is usually designated as a fraction of the acceleration due to gravity. It is expressed as alpha into g, where alpha is known as seismic coefficient. Horizontal seismic coefficient is equal to alpha h and vertical seismic coefficient is alpha v is equal to 0.75 alpha h. And alpha h can be determined by the seismic coefficient method and response spectrum method that are studied during the earthquake engineering in the structural analysis. That may be useful seismic coefficient method up to 100-meter height structure, and response spectrum is useful when the structure height is greater than 100 meter. As per IS 1893-1984, there are the code for seismic coefficient calculation. Horizontal seismic coefficient alpha h is equal to 2 alpha 0. That are the alpha 0 is equal to base seismic coefficient. That is depend on zone. We can calculate 2 into alpha 0. 2 is the factor of safety. Now average acceleration 1893-1984 recommends damping of 5% of dams. Damping is an influence within upon an oscillatory system that has affect the reducing and restricting to preventing its oscillation. So damping of 5% of dams. So we can use damping 5% and we are using the natural vibration period in seconds. So when the natural vibration period in second may be lesser, so average acceleration coefficient is increased. Effect of earthquake acceleration. Inertia force in the body of dam. So inertia force is produced mass into acceleration and is force acts in the direction of opposite to that the ground motion. If the reservoir is full, the inertia force acts in a downstream side direction, and if the reservoir is empty, then inertia force acts in upstream side direction because there is no counter force has been present. Effect of horizontal earthquake acceleration. So earthquake may be two waves like P wave, L wave. So that horizontal shear PEH is equal to 0.726 PEY. So force in Y direction multiplied by H, height of construction. Moment is equal to 0.299 PEY square. And vertical component of shear WH is equal to PE2 minus PE1 and phi. Phi is the actual slope of upstream side face. PE1, PE2 is equal to horizontal side. PE1 is equal to horizontal shear at elevation at which the slope of the dam face commences. Horizontal shear is elevation of the section being considered. Now that are the effect of vertical earthquake acceleration. Due to vertical earthquake acceleration alpha v into g, the dam as well as reservoir water are accelerated vertically upward or downward, and accelerated upward increases the weight and the acceleration downward decreases the weight. Now altered weights is equal to W 1 plus alpha V or W 1 minus alpha V. Ice pressure. When the ice is formed on outer surface of the reservoir subject to expansion and contraction due to temperature variation. When the ice sheet is formed on the top surface of the water, then it creates the acting the on the creates the horizontal force on the face of our dam. Then face is resist force due to expansion of ice. This force acts linearly along the length of dam at a reservoir level. IS 6512199 recommends 250 kN per meter square applied to the face of dam over the anticipated area of contact of ice with the face of dam. Now wave pressure PW is equal to 2WHW square and it acts at a distance of 3HW by 8 above the reservoir surface. Now silt pressure is also calculated according to IS 651219972. Silt pressure and water pressure exist together in submerged silt. The following are recommended for calculating the forces. PSH and PSV. PSH is equal to 1360 kg per meter cube and PSV is equal to 1925 kg per meter cube. Next is the wind pressure. It is a minor force acting on dam, act on superstructure of dam. Normally, wind pressure is taken as a 1 to 1.5 kN per meter square. That are the different forces acting on gravity dam. I hope you are understanding these forces acting on gravity dam and their phenomena. Thank you.